First of all, I would like to send my warmest greetings to all of you. Dear viewers of the show, telling ghost stories while drinking a cup of coffee. I am Alex, and I am back with stories about karma and the supernatural. This series will introduce many intricately interwoven ghost stories. I hope to bring you all interesting content. Our stories take place in a spiritually charged neighborhood known as Zom Mo, the Grave Hamlet. The first story from this hamlet is titled The Possessed Corpse, Chimsat. This residential area, Zom Mo, is currently experiencing an unsettling peace. Why unsettling? Because it's rarely ever this calm. Countless legends, hearsay, and rumors constantly circulate. This tiny hamlet has seen every kind of death imaginable. People who died in the river, by the water, on the roadside, in the bushes burnt to ashes, or in horrific car accidents. There were even deaths from being gored by a mad bull or from curses and black magic rituals cast upon one another. The residents of Zom Mo are mostly long-time inhabitants. Generations of grandparents, aunts, and uncles have lived here so long that they've grown accustomed to these ghostly matters. However, the younger generations are still wary and frightened by the strange spiritual tales that are often recounted. In front of almost every house, you'll find protective talismans, bagua mirrors, wind chimes, gourds, or even dautam, talismanic trees planted. These items possess the energy to ward off evil spirits. Some families use older, more ancient methods, like hanging a pair of dried chicken feet. Today, Quan is tying a new pair of dried chicken feet above his doorstep at the request of his mother, Aunt Trin. Their house has always had them, but a new pair is needed because wild cats ate the old ones a few nights ago. Quan climbs onto a chair and carefully hangs the feet, following his mother's instructions. A little to the right, back to the left, in the middle now. You're always messing around, son. Just kidding, Mom. But why do we hang these gross-looking chicken feet? Gross? Don't be silly. This is what the old folks taught us. Hanging these keeps evil spirits and bad luck out of the house, got it? Oh, so for the few days the stray cat ate the old one and we didn't hang a new one, did a bunch of ghosts come into our house? Stop talking nonsense. Get down now that you're done. Just kidding. Quan is an observant person, curious about supernatural happenings. He worries there might be a ghost in his house because, for the past few nights, he's heard a clanking sound from the kitchen, like someone rummaging for food. Generally, Quan tends to overthink things and attributes everything to the supernatural first, imagining things and scaring himself, never considering that it might just be a cat or a rat. Besides the clanking, he also hears the moaning of an old woman. We'll find out exactly what that old woman's moaning sounds like later. Frightened by these chilling sounds, Quan always sleeps with headphones on. Suddenly, there's a knock and a voice calling from the front door. It's Aunt Ba Hun, the next-door neighbor. Every time she returns from a spiritual ceremony, she seeks out Quan's mother to gossip and brag about her shaman. Their chats often last until late at night. Aunt Ba Hun gives Aunt Trin and Quan 2 talismans for peace and safety, which she paid a lot for from her master shaman. Quan holds the talisman, thinking about it for a moment, and keeps it with him, hoping it'll work and ease his worries about the ghosts in his house. That night, as usual, Quan puts on his headphones to avoid the sounds that make him anxious. Soft music is lulling him to sleep when it suddenly stops. His phone ran out of battery. In the dead silence of the night, Quan hears something pounding on the wall right next to his bed. The house next door belongs to Aunt Ba Hun, the one who gave him the talisman earlier that evening. For the past month, Quan has often heard the old woman's crying and groaning in the middle of the night. That is the sound of Grandma Ut, Aunt Ba Hun's mother. Grandma Ut is very old and has been severely ill for months. She suffers and moans like this every night. Yet, Aunt Ba Hun rarely takes care of her, just leaving her to writhe in pain. Since Grandma Ut fell ill, no one has seen her go outside. She just stays confined to the house. Tonight, Quan no longer hears the painful moaning. Instead, he hears the wall pounding. Because the houses share a wall, the sound is quite clear. It sounds like someone is banging their head against the wall, sending shivers down his spine. Quan slowly presses his ear against the wall to hear better. Then, he hears a voice. Quan. He jumps, startled that someone is calling his name. His heart is pounding, but he tries to listen further. A weak, whispering voice continues. Suddenly, a hand slams hard against the wall, startling Quan awake in terror. It's morning, a strangely vivid dream. Quan can't figure out what the dream means. Unable to fall back asleep, he gets up. After freshening up, Quan opens his laptop to work, calculating costs and ingredients for his online food business. Seeing his friend Lam online, Quan messages him to ask a few things. Lam has some understanding of feng shui and the supernatural. Quan tells Lam about his dream, but since everything is vague, Lam can only theorize that Quan's fear of Grandma Ut's moaning led to the dream. Quan also asks about the dried chicken feet. If they weren't hanging for a few days because the stray cats ate them, could a ghost have entered the house? Lam asks if Quan's family has an altar. Fortunately, Aunt Trin has altars for the earth god, the wealth god, a statue of the Bodhisattva Quan Am, and an ancestral altar. No ghost can just enter the house willingly. This reassures Quan greatly. Early that morning, when Quan opens the door, he discovers the pair of dried chicken feet he hung yesterday has vanished. He immediately tells his mother, and Aunt Trin just smiles and says, "Now that those are gone, no wild cat will come to eat them again. Don't worry." Before Quan can ask what she means, he hears Aunt Bahun screaming next door. "Mom! Mom! What's wrong, Mom?" Grandma Ut is vomiting everything she ate. In the disgusting pile of vomit, Quan sees the recognizable shape of a pair of undigested chicken feet. Oh my God! Could it be Grandma Ut who ate the dried chicken feet, and not the stray cats? Aunt Trin is immediately frantic, urging Aunt Bahun to call an ambulance. Because Aunt Trin had laced the chicken feet with insecticide. Quan is utterly stunned. Now he understands why his mother said no cat would eat them again. If a cat had eaten them, it would have died from poisoning. But he never expected Grandma Ut to be the one to eat them. Quan grabs his phone to call for an ambulance, but Aunt Bahun stops him. Quan listens to her words and feels a chilling confusion. Is ending the life of a severely ill elderly person like this the right and humane way? Aunt Trin remains nervous and fearful, worried that she caused Grandma Ut's death by poisoning, which would be the karma of murder. Despite the distress of Quan, his mother, Aunt Bahun firmly decides not to call an ambulance, letting Grandma Ut pass away. She considers it an accident. And just like that, Grandma Ut's hand goes limp. Quan and his mother are trembling with fear. Aunt Bahun places her hand on Grandma Ut's chest and feels a heartbeat. She decides to let her lie there. Once she stops breathing, they'll announce the funeral to the neighborhood. The long, heavy day drags on slowly. The summer afternoon is stifling, but Aunt Trin's hands and feet are icy cold with worry. She regrets poisoning the feet to deter the cats. How could the situation be so cruel? She keeps worrying that if Grandma Ut truly dies, will she suffer Grandma Ut's curse? Quan is also racking his brain, noticing some strange details. How did Grandma Ut manage to take the chicken feet when she didn't have a ladder or chair to climb up, especially in the dead of night? How could Grandma Ut go outside when she's sick and frail, barely able to walk? Too many questions flood Quan's mind. He immediately video calls Lam to find out the truth. Lam says that if someone's time hasn't come, they can escape any disaster. But some people, whose time hasn't come, can still die prematurely due to bad luck or harm from others. It all depends on each person's merit. We cannot fully understand the laws of karma, so we should just respect the wishes of her family. We can't intervene. But Quan insists that Grandma Ut's face looks different, fierce and aggressive, unlike her usual kind and benevolent look. Lam suggests could be Hoi Kwang Fan Chu, the reflective light before death. This is a phenomenon where a severely ill person, whose body and mind are extremely weak, suddenly experiences a period of clarity and strength, wanting to eat delicious food as if they were never sick. This is their chance to see their children and grandchildren, pass on necessary messages, and then they'll gradually drift off and pass away. Based on Lam's words, Kwan predicts Grandma Ut will pass away after today, perhaps tonight or tomorrow at the latest. Kwan tells his mother to message Aunt Ba Hun about the reflective light before death phenomenon so she can prepare for relatives to visit or arrange the funeral in time. Aunt Ba Hun had, after all, been preparing for Grandma Ut's funeral for over half a year, even buying a coffin and storing it. She complained that she's been waiting and waiting, but Grandma Ut just keeps hanging on, tormenting me, tormenting my children and grandchildren, leaving us no peace to eat or sleep. Kwan sighs at the cruel, unfortunate situation of Grandma Ut's family. He feels sorry for her, having to be treated this way in her final days. Speaking of cruelty, Kwan asks a young girl named Ni, Aunt Ba Hun's daughter and Grandma Ut's granddaughter, how Grandma Ut is doing. Ni is just distracted, indifferent, and uncaring, glued to her phone all day. Truly an unhappy family. Kwan silently wishes for Grandma Ut to pass away peacefully, so she doesn't have to witness such sadness. The news of Grandma Ut's reflective light before death spreads throughout the hamlet. Everyone is sure she will pass away soon, and they prepare themselves for the funeral. But strangely, 3 days pass, and Grandma Ut is still alive. In the morning, she wanders around the house. In the evening, she wanders out onto the street looking for food. Aunt Ba Hun and Ni are so irresponsible that they just let her roam everywhere, appearing and disappearing at will. Naturally, the children in the hamlet start calling Grandma Ut Bama, Ghost Grandma. Whenever they see her appear, the kids panic and run away, yelling, "The Ghost Grandma is here! The Ghost Grandma is here!" Lam tells Kwan that something is not normal. No one's reflective light before death lasts longer than a day. Based on Kwan's observations, Grandma Ut's stomach is abnormally distended, like she's bloated and can't digest food. If you stand close to her, you can smell a strange, foul odor like a dead rat. Perhaps she hasn't bathed in a long time, as her skin looks terrifyingly dark and dirty. Seeing the horrible neglect from Aunt Ba Hun and Ni, Kwan feels their whole family is accumulating bad karma. Today, Kwan brings his girlfriend, On, home to visit. On is a cheerful, pretty, and kind girl, so Aunt Trin treats her like family. On bought some fruit as a gift and, knowing Grandma Ut next door is ill, divided the fruit into 2 bags. Grandma Ut's house is closed, and no one answers the door despite calling repeatedly. So they open the door and enter. Even though it's only been 3 days, the house is frighteningly dark. On feels a constant chill and goosebumps. She feels an unsettling dread but can't place it, so she doesn't dare go deeper into the house. Kwan goes into the kitchen alone with the fruit, while On stands near the living room where Grandma Ut is lying. She asks Grandma Ut a few questions, only hearing the sound of tired groans in return. On peers into the mosquito net and sees something that makes her scream and run out of the house. Back at Kwan's house, On is pale. Kwan is worried about what his girlfriend saw. After a while, On calms down enough to recount what happened. When she looked into the net, the person lying there was a man, thin, dark, with sunken eyes and a mouth stretched wide to his ears. Strange. Why a man? It should be Grandma Ut. Could On have been mistaken? On hopes so too. Kwan asks if she needs to go back to Grandma Ut's house to confirm, but On refuses, still too scared. The atmosphere there was cold and suffocating, making her feel unusually anxious. Kwan wants clear confirmation, so he goes over alone to record a video for On to see. He rushes back after just a moment, drenched in sweat from fear. What happened to Kwan? He shows On the video. The video shows Grandma Ut lying down, barely breathing, everything blurred and lacking light. The video shows Grandma Ut lying on her back. Ohm quickly presses pause and sees that Grandma Ut's face is distorted and warped, like a man's face. Both of them get goosebumps. Ohm starts to feel cold, short of breath, her heart pounding, her hands trembling. They have no one to ask but Lam. Lam firmly asserts that Grandma Ut's house has a very strong yin energy, negative energy, and Ohm has been infected by it, which is why she feels cold, short of breath, and tired. Lam suggests mixing coarse salt with warm water for Ohm to wash her face. Coarse salt, dried in the sunlight, absorbs high yang energy, positive energy, and can expel the yin energy clinging to Ohm. Lam says he will research more about Grandma Ut's condition and report back to Quan. This is definitely a supernatural event, but Quan doesn't fully understand what's happening to Grandma Ut. He just fears that, living right next door, his own family will be affected. Quan tells his mother, but she says old people change their personalities. Aunt Trin recounts that Quan's grandfather was the same, usually very kind, but in his final months he became difficult, quick to anger, and constantly scolding his children and grandchildren. In Aunt Trin's eyes, Grandma Ut is no exception. She's just changed more dramatically than others. Unable to agree, Quan drops the subject. It is now 11 p.m. Quan tosses and turns, unable to sleep, too many thoughts swirling in his head. Just as he feels anxious and restless, his phone buzzes with a message from Lam. Based on his research, this is the phenomenon of the possessed corpse, Chimsat, in the elderly. It's possible Grandma Ut had already died, but because the corpse was left for so long without the post-mortem rituals, a hungry spirit entered and possessed her corpse, living again like a normal person. It's likely that due to the indifference of Aunt Bahan and Nay, Grandma Ut died in the house a long time ago without them knowing. But everything is just speculation. Lam asks Quan to watch for a few details to confirm the Vong Nhp Chimsat, spirit possession and corpse occupation, phenomenon. Lam is messaging the signs to look for when. There's a loud banging on the wall. Quan finds this scene familiar. It's just like his dream. He slowly presses his ear to the wall to listen. Quan, I'm so hungry, Quan. Terrified, Quan backs away, not daring to make a sound. Then, there's the sound of a door opening. It's Grandma Ut's door. Why are you out here, Aunt Ut? I'm so hungry. Do you have anything for me to eat? Didn't Aunt Bahan feed you? I'm so hungry, Trin. Please give me some rice to eat. Remembering Lam's previous message, Quan feels even more terrified standing in front of Grandma Ut. Lam sends another message, telling Quan how to check if Grandma Ut is truly possessed. 1. The person has a strange, foul odor. 2. They eat often because the spirit is always hungry. 3. They walk on their tiptoes. Quan immediately looks at Grandma Ut's feet. She is barefoot and standing on her tiptoes. With this detail, Lam confirms, that is definitely not Grandma Ut anymore. It's a hungry spirit entering the house. Lam urges Quan never to invite the spirit into the house. Honestly, these kids, Aunt Trin says. Come in, I'll prepare some rice for you to eat. Mom? Are you really letting her in, Mom? It's nothing, Quan. I'm so hungry. Please let me in to eat, Quan. Mom, tell Aunt Bahan to feed her. Send her home, Mom. What's wrong with you? Aunt Ut is our neighbor. If Aunt Bahan fed her, she wouldn't be here begging for rice from us. Stop talking so much. Come on in, I'll get you some rice. And so, Grandma Ut enters the house. Quan is terrified and watches helplessly as the tiptoeing figure steps inside. Grandma Ut's face is dark, her skin full of grotesque, sinister markings. The spirit probably knows what Quan is thinking and what he fears. Aunt Trin brings Grandma Ut a bowl of rice. She eats like a starving ghost. Quan doesn't dare get close, standing far away, gripping his phone, waiting for a reply from Lam for rescue. Lamb messages Quan to sprinkle coarse salt to drive the spirit away. Quan looks down to read the message, then looks up to see Grandma Ut staring intently at him. She stretches her mouth into a grin and says, "What are you planning to do, Quan?" Then she laughs maniacally. Quan screams in terror, I'm not doing anything." "Nothing." At this point, Aunt Trin rushes over, asking, "What is it, son?" Then she notices Grandma Ut's strange behavior. For some unknown reason, pots, pans, and woks are being thrown everywhere, disrupting the eerie quiet of the late night. Grandma Ut collapses onto the floor, convulsing. Just then, Aunt Bahun rushes over and takes Grandma Ut back home. Quan is utterly terrified, unable to calm down all night. The dark, hollow eyes of Grandma Ut staring at him haunt him, and he can't sleep. He tosses and turns until 5 a.m. As the sunlight begins to appear, Quan finally feels safe. Actually, he's not safe enough to sleep, but he's just too exhausted and drifts off. In his sleepy haze, Quan hears the sound of a wooden fish being tapped and chanting echoing in his head. Waking up, he hears the chanting coming from Grandma It's house next door. Aunt Bahun has brought a shaman to set up an altar and chant for Grandma Ut, hoping she can pass away easily and stop suffering. About 4 or 5 hours later, Aunt Bahun officially announces that Grandma Ut has stopped breathing. Grandma Ut's corpse is lying on the bed. Suddenly, her mouth is spewing out all the food she ate in the past few days. All that food is undigested and putrid. Even maggots are crawling out of her mouth. After only a few hours, her fingers and toenails are black and rapidly decaying, as if the corpse had been decomposing for months. Quan's girlfriend, Own, calls to say she dreamed last night that a man wanted to enter Quan's house to find food. The dream coincides with the events of last night, but Own clearly saw a thin, emaciated man in torn clothes. And Own says something even scarier. There's an old woman's spirit in Quan's house, but Own couldn't clearly see her face. Everything is becoming increasingly complex and vague, with no clear explanation. However, regarding Grandma Ut's case, the shaman confirms that Grandma Ut died a long time ago. A spirit had entered and possessed her corpse to live again and find food. After the chanting drove the spirit away, Grandma Ut's corpse began to decompose rapidly. The story of Grandma Ut dying in the house without Aunt Bahun knowing is circulated and gossiped about throughout the neighborhood. Everyone criticizes Aunt Bahun for her unfilial behavior, for not caring for her elderly mother in her final moments. But Aunt Bahun remains stubborn and defiant, challenging others, showing no remorse. Well, if those involved are not enlightened, outsiders can take this as a lesson to care for their elderly parents at home more. The mysterious spirit in Quan's house remains an enigma. We will eventually find the answer. A while after Grandma Ut's funeral, people in the hamlet see the shaman setting up an altar again, and the person sitting in the middle is Nee, Aunt Bahun's daughter. What is happening to Nee? Or is Aunt Bahun's house still filled with too much negative energy? There will be many more thrilling stories, but one incense stick isn't enough to tell them all. So I'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you to all the viewers for your interest and for listening to this first story. Now goodbye, and see you again. Please subscribe to the Fantastic Stories channel so you don't miss out on any exciting videos. Alex says goodbye.